Have you ever looked at a stock chart and wondered how some traders just seem to get it? Well, it's not magic. It's more like learning a new language. In this explainer, we're going to break down how to read the story a stock is telling us, and we'll use CME Group as our real-world patient. You might be surprised by how much these numbers can actually say.
All right, let's dive right in. The best way to think about this is like a medical checkup for a stock. The company is our patient, and we're going to use a bunch of different diagnostic tools to see how it's doing. Now, we're not trying to predict the future here, but we can get a really clear picture of its health right now. So, who's on the exam table today? It's CME Group, which last traded at $280.87. Let's start our checkup and see what's hiding behind that price tag. You know, any good checkup starts with the vitals. And for a stock, the most important vital sign is its trend. A strong, steady trend is kind of like a healthy pulse. It's the very first sign that things are looking good. And our first test results are in, and yep, they look really solid. CME's price is trading above all of its key moving averages, everything from the short-term 5-day all the way to the long-term 200-day. What this tells us is that both short-term traders and long-term investors are pretty much in agreement. They're all feeling positive about the stock. So we've got a strong pulse. That's great. But does our patient have the energy to keep this up? That's where we bring in our next set of tools, momentum oscillators. These help us measure the real strength and stamina behind that trend. First up, we've got the Relative Strength Index, or RSI. You can think of this as a stamina test. A score over 50 suggests the buyers have more strength than the sellers. But if it gets over 70, that can be a little warning sign that the stock is getting winded and might need to take a breather. So what's the reading for CME? A very healthy 60.05. Now, this is pretty much the sweet spot. It shows there's solid upward momentum, but it's not in that overbought danger zone yet. Our patient is in good shape, but not overdoing it.
Okay, on to our next test, the MACD. This one gets a little more nuanced. The MACD basically helps us see if the short-term energy is in sync with the longer-term trend, or if they're starting to drift apart.
And here's our first, that's interesting moment. See, the main MACD line is positive, which is a good sign, but that histogram is negative. This is a subtle clue that the upward momentum might be losing a bit of its oomph. It's like our runner is still moving forward, but maybe breathing just a little bit heavier now. Time for one more energy check, the stock RSI. If the regular RSI is like running a marathon, the stock RSI is like a 100-meter dash. It tells us how powerful and explosive the most recent price move has been. And whoa, look at that, a perfect 100. This means CME is at its absolute peak in terms of short-term momentum. But, and this is a big but, a perfect score also screams overbought and suggests the stock might be due for a quick rest stop. So we've checked the pulse and the energy levels. Now it's time to check in on our patient's mood. In the market, we call this volatility. It basically tells us if the stock's behavior is calm and stable or if it's prone to big swings. For this, we use a tool called Bollinger Bands. The easiest way to think of these is like a mood ring for the stock. When the price is hanging out near the top band, the market's feeling optimistic. When it's down near the bottom, it's feeling a bit more pessimistic. And right now, CME is trading in the upper half of its Bollinger Band. That's another check in the positive column. It tells us that, at the moment, the buyers are definitely winning the tug-of-war and are pushing that price up. To get an even better feel for the stock's overall mood, let's zoom out and look at its range over the past year. Here's its lowest point, $224.62. And here was its highest point in that same 52-week period, the absolute peak of optimism from investors. So where is CME sitting right now between those two extremes? It's way up there, in the top 15% of its annual range. This just backs up what the Bollinger Bands told us. There's a strong, sustained, positive feeling around the stock. Now, a strong trend is great, but for it to really last, it needs some muscle to back it up. In the stock market, that muscle is trading volume. High volume tells us there's real conviction and participation behind a price move. And when we look at the volume indicators for CME, they are all singing the same tune. The price is way above the volume-weighted average price. That's what the average trader paid recently. The on-balance volume is climbing, which means more people are buying than selling. And the money flow index confirms a ton of cash is flowing into the stock. This isn't a weak trend. It has some serious muscle behind it. Okay, so we've done the full workup. We've checked the pulse, the energy, the mood, and the muscle.
Now it's time to put all these pieces together for our final diagnosis.
And here it is, the whole checkup in a nutshell. The trend is clearly bullish. The buying pressure is high, and the volume shows there's strong conviction behind the move. The only little note of caution is on the momentum front, where our patient might be getting just a little tired in the short term. So, the final diagnosis? We've got a healthy bull that might just need to catch its breath pretty soon.
So what's the prescription from here? Well, for an analyst, it's all about watching these key levels. They'll be keeping a close eye on that support level, the price floor, at around 277. On the other hand, they'll want to see if the stock has enough strength to punch through that resistance, or ceiling, at about 282.
So, is technical analysis some kind of crystal ball? Absolutely not. It's really more like being a detective, piecing together all the available clues to build a clear picture of what's happening right now. Every stock is telling a story. The only question is, are you paying close enough attention to read it?